Hey Thrive Youth, it is great to be with you tonight. My name is Slater. If you haven't met me, I'm one of the pastors here at New Hope, and I'm excited to talk to you tonight about sushi. Well, not about sushi, but that's where I want to start. So if you love sushi, put your hand up, because I love sushi, man. And I'm sure there's people with me here that love sushi. Come on, put your hand up. I know that you're here by video, but put your hand up if that's you. And the thing about sushi is, I didn't try it for so much of my life. I got till after I graduated before I tried sushi. And when I tried it, it was so delicious. And I had this ratatouille moment, like my face was like, oh, it's just so delicious. And I love sushi and I get it whenever I can now, but I wish that I could go back to my 12-year-old self and just beat myself over my head and just, come on man, you gotta try sushi earlier, it's so good. You know, I missed out on sushi for so much of my life, something that was so good. I missed out on it because I didn't think it was that great. I didn't regard it as being that important to get a hold of in my life. And there's so many things that in our lives, we miss out on something that's so good because we're just too busy focused on other things. Maybe you've never tried sushi. Well, this is your time. Go try it. Maybe it's pineapple on pizza. Maybe it's the TV show SpongeBob. Man, it's a good show. If you haven't gone this far in your life and you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. You're missing out on a good thing. Maybe it's wearing PJs out of the house. Tonight, this PJ party. Some of you thought that wearing PJs out of the house was just way too casual, but now you're wearing PJs out of the house and you realize you've been missing out on a good thing. And maybe you're gonna start to do it a whole lot more, who knows? But the point is that we all have things in life where we realize we missed something so important, and we wish that we'd grabbed that important thing earlier in life so that we could have had so much more experiences with it. You know, we get busy in life focusing on all these different things, and sometimes we miss the important stuff. I know that, you know, SpongeBob and pineapple on pizza, in the grand scheme of things, not that important. But I'm talking about now stuff like, you know, maybe you've moved town and you just wish that you spent way more time with your friends when you were spending it on Netflix, because you realize when it's time to move that you missed what was truly important, and that was the friendships. Maybe for you, you spent all your money on clothes, and clothes feel great in the moment, but then it's time to buy a car and you wish that you'd focused less on clothes and more on saving for your car. Maybe it's your health and fitness. You know, you've just eaten whatever you wanted all your life and haven't exercised, but now you're at a point where you think, man, I wish I focused less on that and focused more on eating healthily. We all have things in life where we miss out on good stuff because we're too busy focused on everything else. And my message title tonight, what I want you to walk away with is, don't miss the good stuff. And I want to talk to you tonight about how not to miss the good stuff, because there's so much good stuff in life that we miss because we're too busy being focused on everything else. And the story that we're all sharing from tonight is Jacob and Esau. And the thing to know about Jacob and Esau is that Esau's the older brother, so he gets the birthright. And if you don't know what the birthright is, it's pretty cool. We don't have it these days in 2021, but back in Bible days, it was pretty important. You got double inheritance. Man, I would love to have double the inheritance, twice as much as what my brothers and sisters get. And you also got to be the boss of the family when dad died. So if there was any family dispute, man, now you get the final word. You get the final say. Pretty cool. So it was really important back then. And Esau, he had the birthright. And one day he went out hunting and he forgot to pack sandwiches, which I would have thought he would have known, you know, I'm gonna get hungry. But anyway, he gets to the point where he says that he is so hungry, he is about to die. And this is not exaggerating like what we do, like, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna die. It's not like that. Like, he literally thinks that he's gonna die. And he gets home and he sees his brother Jacob, who is making a bowl of beans or a bowl of red stew. And he's like, man, I'm so hungry. So he says to Jacob, hey, give me some of those beans. And Jacob, he's like, oh, I see an opportunity here to get something very, very valuable. And so he's like, hey, give me your birthright and I'll give you these beans. And so in Genesis chapter 25, verse 32, Esau answers, oh man, I'm about to die. So what good are those birthrights to me? So he gives up the birthrights, something that was so important. He gives it up for just a bowl of beans. And then he eats the beans, and it says this in verse 34, when Esau had finished eating and drinking, he just got up and left. And that showed how little he thought of his rights as the firstborn. So Esau, he traded something that was so important for something that was just a bowl of beans, and he showed how little he cared for that when he made that decision. And this brings out the whole point that I want us to walk home with tonight. And that is, we've got to know our needs. If you're writing anything down tonight, please write this down. You've got to know your needs. Because if you don't know your needs, they'll get to a point where they're so bad, you're at a point of desperation and you'll do anything to fill those needs. Esau, he got to the point of desperation where he was so hungry, he was willing to give away the most important thing in life. And you don't want to get to a point in your life where you give away something that's so important because you've let a need get really bad. You know, I'm pretty sure most of us here would think that peeing in a bottle is disgusting. Well, I hope you think it's gross, because it is gross. But if you sit in a car for 4 or 5 hours, your need to pee is going to get to such a bad point where you'd be willing to trade even the most important thing in your life just so that you could have a chance to pee, and maybe you'd even pee in a bottle. I hope not. But you know, you get to that point where your need is so bad that you're willing to trade everything, even if it is your dignity and looking good in front of everyone else. And I think that's where another verse that I want to share comes in. This is in Proverbs chapter 27, verse 7. It says, if you've had enough to eat, even honey doesn't taste good. And that's so true. If you're full, if your need to eat is full and you've completely fulfilled that need, even the most tastiest food, even the food that you love the most, just think of that food right now. If you're full, you won't even want to eat it because your need is satisfied. The verse goes on and says, but if you're really hungry, you will eat anything. So you'll just take whatever's there, even if it's terrible, even if it's pig food, which the Bible talks about later on, that someone was so hungry they eat pig food, which is just gross. But man, that's what happens when we let our needs get to such a bad place. So what does this look like in our life? Well, you know, we have needs such as belonging, the need to feel like we belong somewhere. And if we don't feel like we belong, then that need is going to get so bad that we're going to begin to trade things that are really important, like our dignity, like our virginity, to try and find belonging. Maybe you or a friend has gone too far in a relationship, sexted or something like that, and you're just trying to find someone that you can belong to. And then you realize in the end you traded something that was so important. Maybe you want to find belonging in the cool kids at school, and so you bully someone else, and then you just realize that you've traded your character, your good character, just so that you can try and fit in. Maybe it's worthiness. You know, we all want to feel like our life is worth something, and so maybe you try and get heaps of A+ at school and you just wear yourself out. Maybe you join a sports team and you just so that you can have a medal to hang on the wall or a trophy to put on the shelf, just to show that you're worthy. But man, in the end, you're just sacrificing your joy. You've traded your joy, you've traded something that truly was important for something that in the end, it doesn't feel that great. It just feels like a bowl of beans. Because we all have needs like belonging and worthiness and security that need to be filled. But we've got to fill them in healthy ways and not let them get so desperate that we're going to trade them for things that are not important, for things that are just temporary in life. And so I want to encourage you tonight to talk to the leaders. If you're feeling like you have a need in your life that's not being filled in a healthy way, ask them how to fill it in a healthy way. Because there's so many things in life that example after example, I could go on and on, that you think is good. And in the end, it's just a bowl of beans. That addiction that you have, it feels good in the moment, but in the end, you realize what you've sacrificed. It's just a bowl of beans. You go gossiping to your friends, and it feels good in the moment because you get to share the goss. But then you realize in the end, you've broken the trust of your other friend. You've traded your trust for something that in the end, is just temporary. It's just beans. Maybe you're drinking because other people are pressuring you to, but then you look back at the decisions that you make while you drink and you realize, man, this is just all beans. Maybe you're sexting or going further in a relationship than you wanted to. In the end, you're going to realize it's all just beans. I have one last question for you tonight. What important things or values are you trading for things that in the end are just a bowl of beans. Don't let your values take second place. And if you don't know what your values are, talk to a leader that you look up to and ask them what their values are. They'll be able to help you maybe form some values of your own. But let's not get to the point where our needs are so bad that we would trade absolutely anything to have those needs fulfilled. Thrive Youth, I love you. Hopefully next time I'll be with you in person, but have a great week and don't miss out on the good stuff.